Well, hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and you're on misplacedstraws.com where music comes to life. And my guests today they're part of a really cool new music collective called Rizz and the Believerz. And I say unique because it's made up of household names and a really charismatic newcomer fronting the band. Their debut EP, Everyday People, is out May 10th. Please welcome drummer Troy Luccketta and frontman Rizz of Rizz and the Believerz. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you having us, buddy.
Absolutely.
So let's start with the band itself. Troy, naturally, everyone knows you from your time with Tesla, but talk a bit about who joined you guys in the band and how you all came together with Rizz.
Well, I guess we'll start at the beginning. It started with my son back, I don't know, 4 years ago, before COVID. My son was producing K-Rizz at the time. It's Rizz now, but there's a story behind that as well. But so I pull into town. My son's having a surgery. I'm flying from Nashville to Dublin, California, where he lives. And he was producing Rizz. And when I had got there, I planned on spending 3 weeks. And he was in the middle of some work. And, I came into his garage. He's got like a tri-level, and he's sleeping on an air mattress, or what it was.
Yeah.
It was an air mattress.
We're supposed to leave that part out of the story. That's okay.
But we got to start somewhere. And so I just said hi, and we introduced ourselves. And the Cliff's Note version is my son needed some help. He said, "Dad, would you put some drums on it?" Rizz had this recorded music that was really great that he would license these tracks and put, his thing to it. So he wasn't even really about drums, because I think a lot of the music then that he was listening to was basically probably just beats, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, we kind of went through this process over about 3 weeks. We got some work done, a body of work done, including Don't Stop Trying, that we brought back to Nashville and finished. But that kind of got us started. COVID hit. We shut it down. 2 years ago, I called him. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was here 4 days later, man. Hopped on a plane and we started getting to work and being able to work with these guys, obviously with Troy having, the pedigree that he has and the connections, and from the time that he spent in the industry, it's definitely, fallen into our favor. And so just started working on this project, and it seemed kind of like piece by piece, these people just kind of started to fall into this project with us. And, first it was John Salloway, and, John's got his own music that's wonderful and has a background with, big reggae fan himself and big Bob Marley fan as well. So me and him had something in common right away. And because there's not a lot of reggae out here in Nashville. It's not where you would typically go to start a reggae band. Not that we are a reggae band, anyway. So then he was out with the Guess Who. So then as he was out there, he started playing some of the music that we had started working on. And that's when Michael Devin came into play. That's when Michael Sterto came into play, the guitar and the bass player. And then we just tried a bunch of different people out and just kind of fishing for these different sounds and different feels for the music and trying to discover something unique. And I remember we had a jam going on a song called Give It a Go. That's really killer. One of my favorites. And it's got this long outro jam because Troy would just keep playing these drums, and it would go on for like a couple minutes after. And so then naturally John and Mike, they would look up as they're recording going like, is this part of the song or what am I supposed to do? And we wouldn't really tell them anything. And that's where the magic would happen in some of these outro jams, and because they're not thinking, right? They're just kind of noodling, so to speak. And that's when we were like, man, that's kind of like a Leonard Skinner, like Freebird jam at the end there. And he goes, it's funny because I just had Peter Keys reach out to me, or they were in communication, who's been out with Leonard Skinner. And so we called up Peter, and Peter got involved, and that was kind of the last piece of the sound, so to speak. So, not a bunch of newbies, that's for sure. These guys have definitely been there and done that. So for me, it's a blessing to have.
And it just kind of happened organically. None of it was premeditated. We didn't know when we started. I just knew that we needed to re-record these tracks because he had all this great music, and it was so good. There was no way I was going to beat what he already had. The stuff that he was licensing was killer. He sounded great. It was great. The problem was it was licensed music, so other people could license the same track, So it was like, well, Rizz, we're gonna have to re-record this stuff. And as we got here to Nashville, I said, look, man, I said, everybody here in Nashville is so freaking good. I says, we can get your record done like that, man. I says, and hire these cats. I says, but I'm not sure it's going to be what we want, or what I was thinking, something a little more special. And the whole Believerz thing came together on an accident. All of it was just or meant to be, really, truly, as we look at it, but it just fell into place. Everything just kind of fell into place. And now we have a whole body of work. There's a co-producer, a guy named David Brainerd. There's a song on the EP that comes out tomorrow, the 10th, called I Believe. And that's a good example of David Brainerd and who he is. Because when you listen to all the music up until the band kicks in the bridge, it's all him. Yeah. And he had the music, everything finished. He's a writer here in Nashville. We got him together over the house, and and real strong, produced first Jamie Johnson record. He's had some #1 records he's produced, and he got involved with us, loved Rizz, and we started exploring that other side that we didn't know was there. And it came together, and it does work in the body of work. But once you hit the bridge, we kind of brought the Believerz in, and it's not that it needed it, and it's like a lot of the work we're doing. I've got stuff with him that, I mean, they could just go do their own record. They don't need us. And they have a nice special thing too. And it is that good, but from where I'm sitting, my job is to take what is there and see if we can make something more or different out of it. It's not that better than it might be. Well, it's like, hey, on this track, maybe we want to stay where we were, or let's see where this goes. So it's just keeping a real open mind to explore. It's still new to us. We have 30 songs on a board right behind me that we've worked on, and we probably got what, 12, 15?
12, 15.
Right, in a good place that that we're finishing up. And,
no samples.
Yeah, no samples on the record.
All original music
here
in the studio.
Yeah, and that's what's really cool, and we had our first rehearsal actually with the 2 guitar players last night with a real special piece of music you're going to hear, you're going to connect with. And but working last night here in my studio, here we were working, and it was the first time John and Michael Sterto had gotten together where we actually sat in a room and worked on something, to see them actually work together as 2 guitar players. And I told them, I says, the thing about Tesla, the magic was Tommy Skeoch and Frank Cannon. Yeah. Me. And most, and take nothing away from David Rude, because he was the perfect guy to come in and take over. But the magic was Tommy and Frank. And I experienced that last night with these 2 guys. I was like, oh my God, because they're completely different. And it's that opposites attract. And so at any rate, man, this whole thing is, we're learning more as we go. I mean, we just learned that last night,
Well, and it's cool how organic this is, because, when people hear your name and hear Michael Devin and hear Peter Keys, the last thing they're going to expect is this kind of reggae tinged world music flavored set of songs. But it just really works, and it just sounds like you guys are enjoying what you do. Were you searching for a new musical avenue, or again, is it just an organic thing when you guys all got together, this is the sound?
I was never searching personally. I went out with a Guess Who, after the break from Tesla, and I went out and did that for a while. And while I was out there, we had already started our thing. And as it was developing, I already know in my mind, Rizz is a superstar. We're gonna pack stadiums. That's what it is, I believe. So that's where I come from, and I saw that, and I believe that, and I thought, you know what? Now we just got to get to work and prove it. God willing, I should say. But that was just what I believed of who he was, because I know what the music is, and the purpose behind the music is so much greater than the both of us. I'm gonna let Rizz tell you about himself with his Make 'Em Smile. I've got my Wake Up to Love Foundation. We have bridged our worlds together, and it's kind of like God just took the both of us and said, you know what, you guys need to do this. And it feels like we're doing it because we almost have to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, absolutely. And Yeah, it's just kind of fell together naturally because of who we are as people. We've kind of fell into each other's
Yeah.
laps, and we come from different places, but we're kind of living the same style of life. We love to give back. I have Make 'Em Smile, which is a nonprofit foundation I do out in my hometown, Reno, Nevada. So we're on year 10 of doing a big toy drive, and he does the Troy shows up. So he goes to school. He's a good example of a bad example, 30 years sober. So it was, not only is he a good mentor for me, but we work well together because we can kind of get both different generations, so to speak,
Yeah.
and come from different places. It's like some of these kids that probably don't even, they don't want to hear about who I am because who am I to them? But they know this guy's a rock star and they see him packing stadiums already. So it's like, it's funny how that is.
Yeah, they
But
might not want to know who I
who
am
I am
because of
because
who he is.
so
So
it works pretty
yeah.
cool, but this thing has definitely come together very organically and naturally. And as far as searching for a sound, like I started out more in the hip hop realm,
Mhm.
then kind of found my way into the reggae genre, just falling in love with the community and the people and the music first and foremost. And then as an artist, I started to experiment with that. And I was like, oh, you know what? This is totally more my style. And this fits me more of my message and what I'm trying to do with my music, which is just, create positivity and inspire people to be the best that they can be. I mean, in a simple way. So, um, then getting these guys, yeah, I mean, they're players, man. They're good musical players. So I mean, you could have them play anything and these guys are going to crush it. So but Peter, comes from a cool background obviously, and Devin, I mean, these guys still do have a lot of knowledge within this genre because its roots, are kind of widespread.
They
There's some
actually, yeah.
jazz and there's some stuff, that's influenced, from even like we have a song that's a great song that goes into a jazz swing at the end that you would not expect,
Mhm.
but it's music, right?
Mhm.
And so that's the cool part. When you get good players and musicians, like you get out here, you can kind of just tailor it to whatever you want to do
Yeah.
and see what happens.
Yeah, I was going to jump in and say I've not been exposed to reggae music.
Mhm.
Me, so I mean, I just the stuff I heard, and I've always liked it for what I've heard of it. But since I've got into it and explored it, now with Rizz, man, I have learned so much. It's like going to school. It really is, and it's
Yeah.
so cool. And I love we were just blessed with the situation where we played a festival in Florida called Reggae Rise Up. And John Salloway, I'll let Rizz tell the background story to John Salloway, our guitar player, how we've landed this gig with, and I didn't know anything about the Sugar Shack. So
Yeah, we got to go. Shout out to the Sugar Shack. We love you guys, Eddie and Lisa and the whole crew. You guys are
yeah,
amazing.
yes, they are.
So yeah, John actually, has a past with Eddie. He gave him his first pair of cymbals, and they reconnected all of a sudden when we got this project, coincidentally. So it was kind of cool. And we did the NBC today in Nashville, and then that night, we got a call from John. He's like, "Hey, the Sugar Shack guys want to know if you want to perform." So we got to go out there and open up the Sugar Shack stage at the Reggae Rise Up, and got to see the Marleys and Slightly Stupid and
Nice.
Iration and all the big dogs, man, the people that I've been watching forever, looking up to, and so it's cool to take him to these festivals and kind of get him into a new world. It's really cool.
One thing I think that really stands out about the songs on the EP, and you hinted at it a little bit, Riz, it's very uplifting. It's a very powerful, positive message. And just talking to you guys now and hearing about your foundations, I see where that comes from with you. And is it important to you that your lyrics kind of reflect that as well?
Yeah, for me, that's everything. I mean, that's the
Mm.
purpose behind what I do. It's like I chose music as my medium, that was my way to get on through to people because I've always been passionate about the message of inspiring people and you know, um that's been my whole passion since I started music. It was always like um man, I just feel like we're so powerful as human beings. We have so much we can do, and we need each other, and community is needed more than ever. And it's always fascinated me, just like how one person can dictate so much change in the world through just
Mhm.
doing something that's stand up, and kind of outside of the box, or just that's the right thing to do. And the normal sometimes, it's kind of crazy how we'll just kind of fall into that, and it's like, oh, that's just what you do.
Yeah.
And then there's somebody that comes along that is like, but why? But I think we can do this better or different. And then all of a sudden you get to start to spark people's, kind of bring people back to life, or to ignite something in them that creates change. So I just feel like inspiring people to be their real self and their authentic self, which is such a hard thing to do in this world, to me is such a passionate thing. And I still battle this thing myself. I'm not perfect by any means. That's the cool part about it, is because like we help each other, right? But that's been a big passion of mine, man, since I was really young, was just like, how do we inspire each other?
That's awesome. It, Troy, again, everyone knows you from Tesla, a successful band that you built up into, this steady touring entity, really successful. What led you to step away, and what does it feel like now to build a band back up again from the beginning? Is it a challenge that you're like, yeah, we can do this?
Two great questions. First of all, the COVID thing happened. That shut us down.
Mhm.
Gave me a time to take some time off and reflect and really think about where I was at in my life, and reevaluate it, and I couldn't be more grateful for the guys in the band, all those years. I love all of them, and it was a remarkable 30 plus years, 36 years, I think it was. And, for me, I mean, there wasn't really much left for me to do
Mm.
there, quite honestly, other than tour and play and make, do the same shows and do everything that they're, which is great. So it's nice that that legacy's got to go and continue to move, but it gave me an opportunity to step back. And after working with Rizz, and then I didn't even want to go out with the Guess Who. I just filled in. I got called on a Saturday. The manager called me, and then they called me back on Monday, and they wanted me to play Friday, and there's no rehearsals. I had to fly home on Sunday. They were calling me back, sending me the material on Monday. I got 2 days to go over it, fly Thursday, and play the show Friday. And it was a body of work, and there's always a show. There's, it takes some work and effort to get that right and make that happen. And I did it, and it worked out great. And I was only planning on just jumping in and out. And then at 37 months later, 30 plus shows later, I'm like, man, my passion's here. And it's kind of like wanting to, and I knew that, there's a saying, when we don't get what we want, we get what we're committed to. And quite honestly, at that point, I had to reevaluate myself and look at what I was committed to. And at that point, I made a decision. I talked to Rizz about it, and I knew what that decision was. I said, this is it. I'm done. This is my last stop. I don't want to do anything else. It's new music. I love the energy. I love everything about you. I believe in you. I said, I'm here. We're gonna work this thing every day. We're gonna figure it out. We've got our own record company, Blessings and Love LLC, 4 trademarks underway. We've got a legal team. We've got radio promotionals people. We've hired, our publicist, and I mean, it's a real team.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting to be real solid, and we're learning about what it takes just to do that. This is a whole new medium and model that I know nothing about. It's like, I said, Rizz, dude, good luck with the freaking social stuff. Because first of all, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And God bless him, because he does an amazing job. But it's just been, I feel like God doesn't give you more than you can handle. And there was no way we could have had it all up front. And I was telling Rizz in the beginning, I said, dude, I think we just need to do this on our own, raise our own money, figure it out, be our own company, do our own thing. If we go to the labels, this is the downfall of what we're going to be experiencing. But it's hard to take I mean, record companies have built and made people forever, but there's new models now. And, so we had a chance to look at that model and evaluate the model. And I think over time, Rizz has been able to see and hear through people, not through me.
Yeah.
Because I just believe that's what we should do, and for all the right reasons. And I think he's learned and come around and like, yeah, man, I'm glad we are going this route. This feels right to me. You know, we have the freedom to put out an EP right now,
Mm.
you know.
2 weeks notice.
Yeah, we had 2 weeks notice on that thing. It was
Yeah,
like,
we just flipped that into. I mean, we got a great feedback. You know, thanks for everybody streaming. Don't stop trying. Killer numbers, or all organically. You know, we've been hitting a lot of great major markets right now. Just like really out the gate, we landed one of the biggest playlists in the genre. You know, yeah, it was like, wow, okay, we haven't even really done anything. We just put the song out, and now we're just watching the, you know, the numbers and the statistics and kind of reading these analytics to kind of feel who's resonating with these songs. And you know, it's really cool to be able to, there's a lot more involved than what I ever imagined.
Yeah.
It's like, be careful what you wish for. I'm like, hey man, I want to get into the music business and I want to learn all aspects. I've always kind of been that way, but I did it at just a much more different level. And so, you know, now with the record company and everything that we started up, we didn't just launch a single, man. We launched a record company, and now launching this EP. It's been a lot these last couple months for sure. And I just starting to kind of reflect on that even before we hit tomorrow, just going like, wow, it's been a lot, man. And as Michael Sterto says, you know, it's like, it's no longer yours, man. Now it's the world's. You put that out there, and those aren't your songs anymore. You know, you might have, you know, we've all kind of put together, but now they are the world's music to have and digest. So it's an exciting, emotional time for, I think, all of us in different ways, you know?
And these songs, I mean, they are meant to be played on stage at a summer festival
Yeah.
outdoors. You know,
Yeah.
do you guys have any plans this summer for getting out there, and whether it's doing some shows on your own or playing festivals, things like that?
We got a cup. We got some festivals lined up right now, and you know, like he was just saying, we're just starting to get the band rehearsed. You know, luckily we got some availability happening right now, and so we're taking advantage of that. And we've got some great things ahead. And yeah, we definitely have been talking and looking at some agents, and you know, just kind of looking around to see what makes sense for us. We're gonna be playing music, absolutely. You know, we're gonna get out there. We're not in a hurry to do anything that doesn't make sense.
right.
And that's kind of, I think, where I would leave that.
Yeah, we're not just gonna go play everywhere and grab a club. You know,
Right.
we're just gonna do, we'll hope, we want to work smarter, not harder, but we don't mind working the harder part of it for the smarter picture.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
So we're navigating right
Yeah.
now. Yeah. First thing was like, again, you know, let's get this single out with the label. And now, you know, we had a really good opportunity to put out an EP. So now we're gonna do that. And now it's like, okay, now let's get rehearsed, and let's get our live sound dialed in. And I mean, these guys, again, he's done this his whole life. And for me personally, man, that's the live shows, the reward. I haven't got to do that in almost 2 years. I mean, I've done little shows here and there, but like that's where I feel like that's I'm a performer, man. I can't wait to do that. So to me, that's the fun part. We're kind of putting in the work and laying down all that, you know, the ground level stuff right now, so we can really, you know, be set up for a more sustainable future and career.
Also, well, we've been spending some time here with Troy and Rizz. The band is Rizz The Believerz. The EP is called Everyday People. It is out May 10th. I highly recommend it. It's a fun listen. It's a perfect listen as a summer soundtrack. Guys, thank you both. Best of luck with the record. And hopefully we do this again when you guys have another record and a tour coming up.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate you, man. We appreciate your time.
absolutely. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.